Hello again, everybody. CJ here, Technology Addict. And I was going to do a separate video for each of my pens, showcasing kind of each one that I've purchased. And I wasn't planning on doing this tonight, but I'm not ready quite yet to get into bed, and I was just thinking about this. So I may as well go ahead and showcase one of them that I've got. What we have here is an Esterbrook CX-100 with a homemade cap, because the eBay seller did not have the cap with the pen. Instead, they offered me an empty Esterbrook SJ body. More on that one later. But here we have a CX-100, and without the cap I made from a cardboard tube, obviously, that came from one of those glow stick necklaces that the kids wear on 4th of July and New Year's Eve. Anyway, we have here a CX-100 that was made in roughly 1960s era. And I have put in it the Koh-i-Noor green ink. Now, one of the things that I have read in more than one place about the CX-100 is that the cartridges in it are very, very difficult to come by. I'm not sure if I would say that that means they're rare, but that does mean that they're difficult to obtain. I have not dipped this pen in order to write these words. So that means I must therefore then have a cartridge in it. Yes? Here's the cartridge it came with. Of course, that doesn't mean that I didn't have a spare CX-100 cartridge, right? Well, as I've stated in my other videos, I'm pretty new to this. I don't have the experience. I don't have really the money to be throwing at a bunch of pens. So why would I have a spare CX-100 cartridge laying around? I wouldn't, okay? But, I was sitting here debating, because when the pen came in and I took the body off of the filler, or off of the section here, the body kind of grabbed the lip of the cartridge, and it pulled the cartridge off of the feed. Well, of course, that's bad. I don't want if I had any reason to take the body off of the feed, off of the section, I don't want a half-full cartridge emptying anywhere. Not that it would. Surface tension should take care of that. But I don't want to run the risk. So I never did fill it, because it was kind of a loose fit, and then, the body grabbing the lip of the cartridge. But just out of sheer coincidence, I was cleaning house the following day, and I saw that I had emptied one of these spray bottles, not this type of spray bottle. It was actually a glass cleaner bottle, one of those clear acrylic ones. Glass Plus was the brand. But the thing about that glass cleaner with that acrylic bottle is I was able to look straight through the bottle, and I saw the filler tube. And I got to thinking, man, that filler tube, I wonder if that would fit. Well, I just happen to have another bottle here for demonstration purposes. But the original filler tube, yes, absolutely it fit, because I've already cut it and made it work. So you see, the two plastics, well, this one's a little stained because, no doubt, of the ink and age. And beyond that, this one's a smaller diameter with thicker walls, so it's going to be harder to flex, assuming the same plastic. This one's a larger diameter with thinner walls. It'll be easier to flex, again, assuming they're the same plastic. And honestly, they do feel like I would expect, again, if they were the same plastic. Accounting for the ink to be staining the plastic, aside from that, the plastics look very similar. So I said, what the heck? I'll take some hot glue, seal one end, and of course this was after I fit tested everything, but I sealed one end, filled it with ink, and stuck it on the feed. And you know something? It's a perfect fit on that feed. Hot glue on one end, fill it with ink, perfect fit on the feed. And yes, I've got ink on my finger, but that's from handling the nib after I decided to refill it. And that's the thing, you know, I just did mention in one of my earlier videos today how I never get ink on my fingers from filling a pen. It's funny how irony works, yes? Or maybe it's karma. Anyway, as you can see, I mean, it's just a tube from glass cleaner. You know, a little bit of hot glue on the end, and I have a fully functioning cartridge. Now, there is one thing that you need to worry about if this is something that you do. Two things, actually. One, as I've already mentioned, this tube has a smaller inside diameter than the proper cartridge. That means that for a given length, it will hold less ink. Now, in this day and age, today's society does not write that much. If you're just writing a couple of love letters to your partner across the ocean, this should work fine. However, if on the other hand you are expecting it to do marathons writing novels, you will be sorely disappointed. So something else to consider is that there is a phenomenon known, especially when you buy cartridges like this, like I've done. I've got about a dozen of these cartridges sitting in a blister pack over in the other room, and they're all half full of ink. Well, obviously they were full when they left the factory, right? How did they lose all this ink? Well, water can pass through the membrane of the plastic. So it takes it a long time to happen, but water can evaporate out of these plastics, including these plastics, including these plastics. But I don't know that these are the same type of plastic. So I don't know that they have the same properties. I don't know that water isn't going to evaporate more quickly out of the makeshift cartridge. So that's something to keep in mind. If you decide to go this route, maybe you might want to make sure that you're not going to be depending on it. You know, maybe keep an eye on it. Every couple of days after not writing with it, perhaps. Keep an eye on the ink level. Maybe store it nib up for a few days. See where the ink level is. Take a picture of it every couple of days so you can see if it's actually decreasing. But, no, as you can see, it works. That's actually a K. I know it looks like an H. Yeah, I was a little light on that G. But yeah, this is definitely a workable solution. If you really love your CX-100 and you simply cannot find a cartridge, no, I'm not selling you mine. You can make one. It may not be perfect. It may not have the ink capacity you're looking for, but it certainly is functional. It should last you at least most of a day at the office, depending on how much you write. You know, that would last me an entire week at the office as much as I write. So it's something to consider. I mean, you know, and I'm betting that probably would work with some other pens as well, depending on, you know, what kind of tubing you can find. And you can find all sorts of tubing in all sorts of places. So I'm just saying, it's a modification option. So I hope that you've gotten some use out of that. I hope it helps somebody. And until next time, have a good